What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well today. And we're going to be doing another check-in on the Seattle Seahawks top 30 visits so far this pre-draft process, because as of yesterday, the Seattle Seahawks have now utilized half of their visits, or at the very least, they've scheduled half of them. I know some of them haven't happened yet, or at least I don't think they have, but they're on the schedule. So we're halfway there. Good time to check in, get a feel for who they're considering, who they're looking at, and understand that it is a rare commodity. You only get 30 of these. And most teams generally don't use all of them. They usually leave like one or two dangling. So it is very good information. And as this article on Field Goals points out, the Seahawks met with Jalen Milroe, Cable Dew, and Nick Emanwari last year for top 30 visits. So it is indicative. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. More on them later. But let's go ahead and take a look at the list. And we're going to look at the whole list again because I can't really remember who I talked about last time because the list gets updated every time there's a new player and it's not really put in any kind of an order. So we're just going to go through one by one, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time on the ones that I remember, but it's worth there's nothing wrong with revisiting the whole list anyway. So AJ Halsley, the LSU safety, I definitely remember talking about him. Not a massive fan, but he is a pretty good player. I just think he's more of a box safety. I don't think he's really what the Seahawks need with the Mike McDonald defense being what it is. Not a bad player, though. Chris Johnson, obviously, big fan. Love that one. Makes all the sense in the world. San Diego State corner. Would be a perfect fit for this defense. Wouldn't even mind taking him at 32. Andre Fuller, Toledo cornerback. Talked about him before. Barely draftable. Barely draftable. But sometimes you use top 30 visits on your UDFA targets. Dalen Everett, I think we talked about him last time, the Georgia cornerback. So Dalen Everett, really, really interesting. I really like the fact that we're kicking the tires on him. I think he's getting drastically undervalued during this pre-draft process. Jalen Kilgore, cornerback for South Carolina. Also a little bit of a safety there. I'm not 100% sure what he's going to do at the next level, but not a bad player. I do have some mild concerns there, but overall, I think that he would be a decent fit for what we do around here. And obviously, you have that South Carolina connection that seems to carry at least a little bit of weight here. Coleman Bennett, Kennesaw State running back. I can't remember if I talked about him last time, but he's obviously a small school running back that I haven't had the chance to look at, so I don't have much to say. Coleman Bennett, somebody I'm probably going to loop back around on and talk about in a video in maybe a week or a week and a half right before the draft. But he's probably not somebody you're thinking about drafting. He's somebody you're thinking about signing out of undrafted rookie free agency. So we will talk about him down the line. Another small school running back we kick the tires on is Chip Trianum of Toledo. So another Toledo player. I believe I mentioned him before, but again, I don't know anything about him yet. I'm going to scout him at the end of the process after I'm done with all the other positions. Zion Young, I remember talking about him last time. I'm a fan. Makes sense into this one. Zion Young could be our first round pick. Don't rule it out. Nice player. All right, be right back. Do you like sports? If you do, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players' projections and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. I've had a great time using Prize Picks so far. It makes this daily fantasy thing so easy and fun, and it even makes watching the games way more exciting. And with the cool social feeds feature, you can share lineups with your friends and even follow partners to tail or fade their picks. Obviously, we're in the NFL offseason right now, but we've got basketball, baseball, hockey, all kinds of other stuff, so don't be afraid to test things out in whatever sport clicks with you. You can even pick multiple sports in the same lineup and sweat everything at once. And don't forget about team picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So, download Prize Picks, America's #1 sports app. And don't forget, Code HMA, that is HMA, gives you $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize picks. It's good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. All right, so after Zion Young, we have Mike Washington. I didn't mention the fact that we met with Mike Washington in a video, but that was recent, and that's very intriguing. And again, I think generally speaking, you're going to use your top 30 visits on players that you are interested in, but you're not sure about. Mike Washington is kind of the definition of a player that you're interested in, but you're not sure about because there's so much fun stuff with his skill set, but there's also some really troubling things with his abilities. So that one, I like him. I would love to get him. I think that there's upside there that you're not going to find in other parts of this draft, but there's a lot of reasons why it may not work. Caden McDonald, that's a recent one, and that's a really fun one. Not necessarily the biggest need, really fun. Caden McDonald, nose tackle, could immediately, I think, earn playing time in this defense because we don't have a true nose. And he also gives you a little bit of insurance because Leonard Williams and Jaron Reed might not be on this team much longer. I think they're going to be here for 2026, but after that, I don't know. You could see retirements. You could see Leonard Williams, if we don't extend him, he could just move on. So we need to see what happens there. And Caden McDonald, I like him. Good player, good nose tackle. You look at the tape, it seems like he's more disruptive than a typical nose as well. So yeah, I'm pretty into that one, man. I would love to do that. R. Mason Thomas, the Oklahoma edge, I don't really get that one. I don't think he's a bad player, but I cannot imagine a player like him fitting in on this defense. He's too small. He's a speed rusher who, by the way, didn't even test that well. So it just doesn't make sense. So I'm wondering why we looked at him. Maybe there's something going on here that I don't know about. Maybe there's something they see with him that I don't. But to me, he's very much a Daryl Taylor type. And while the Daryl Taylor type, I'm not talking about that he'll be as, the same caliber of player as Daryl Taylor. But to me, that just doesn't really fit what McDonald wants from his edge rushers. Heron Crawford, Auburn edge. I think this is an older one, but I'm not 100% sure. Mid-round guy. I talked about him a little bit a couple of weeks ago. Don't remember a ton about him, but mid-round edge is something that the Seahawks are likely to look at because we really haven't done anything to replace Boye Mafe. And even though it looks like we're going to keep Nwosu, I don't know how much we're going to be able to depend on him. So we got to tread lightly there. We also met with a edge that I don't know anything about. New Mexico, Keyshawn James Newby. So that's intriguing. He's not projected to be a draft pick. So you're talking about a day 3 guy at best, maybe even a UDFA. And again, there is value in poking around with those guys. So I'll probably loop back around and talk about him close to the draft. Colton Hood, definitely talked about him. Interesting player for sure. One of the guys that I would not mind seeing this team target in the first. And if he's there, there's a real scenario we take him. Brandon Cisse, I think that one's recent as well. That's a big one. Brandon Cisse would be awesome. Love him. Maybe not quite as ideal a fit as Chris Johnson, but I think the talent and the ability of him to his ability to learn would carry the day. So I think that would be awesome. I talked about him extensively already, so I'm not going to get into it more than that. And of course, you have our local visits, which is currently still just Jonah Coleman. All right, so that's the top 30 so far. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Everybody have a good rest of your day.